Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy, a donation reward for Smurf. So once again, we are here with another Tinkerbell film. This is like, what, the fifth one? Something like that. And this one is definitely very interesting sounding. The second of these movies had a more adventure theme to it. This one might have even more if it's called The Pirate Fairy. Now, pirates are a thing in the Peter Pan universe, however you want to describe it. We know that. So is this going to involve actual pirates? Is it going to involve a fairy who's a pirate, or a fairy pirate crew? That would be fun. I don't know the context of this at all. I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea how it's going to be explained. I don't know what it's going to be even about. I don't even know if it's actually going to be an adventure. I assume so, but I don't know. Now, last time I did mention that I want Tinkerbell's sister to continue to be a ongoing character. I don't want them to just ignore that, because that seems too important to just like showcase once and then like push to the side. It's something that needs to continuously be a part of it. Like, we see all the friends continue to be a part of these films, even if they have small roles, but they're at least there. That's what I at least want for her sister, to at least be there, to at least be shown in these last two movies, even if she doesn't have a major role to play. So that's kind of my biggest hope for this, because otherwise I have nothing to really go on. So yeah. But I'm very, very excited to see more of these, because again, they just seem to keep getting better, you know? They just seem to keep getting better. And while the last one wasn't perfect, it could have been better in and of itself. Just the stuff with Tinkerbell and her sister was fantastic. And I really hope that they continue to impress me with these last couple. But it's hard to say. It's just always hard to say. But like I said, I'm excited to get to this nonetheless. So we're just going to get right into it. Why waste any more time, right? So let's do so. When the screen fades black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So it's kind of been the ongoing thing for me that I feel like each of these movies has been better than the last. And again, as I said in the pre-thoughts, although the last movie, Secret of the Wings, had some issues with it and wasn't perfect in some ways, in other ways it continued that tradition and it was better than the rest. The stuff with Tinkerbell and her sister, Periwinkle, was phenomenal. And I think it's kind of a highlight of this series for sure. And yet the tradition continues. This is the best one so far. How can it not be? One, the adventure aspect. I talked about this with the second movie and kind of went into this, I think, in a couple of the others as well. I really liked that in the second one. The adventure aspect of it worked extremely well and really just kind of surprised me. at how well it works for this kind of concept, for the concept of, Disney fairies, which, again, going into this when I originally was going to start these, and even years before when I had heard about these movies, automatic thoughts were, of course, this is too girly and stuff. But obviously, I've grown past those kind of preconceived notions. And thankfully so, because it's like, even the more girly stuff, quote unquote, in this series is really something that can be enjoyed by anyone. And I mean, yes, I'm a girl, but still, anyone can very much like tune into this and find value in it. But I still like the exciting adventure stuff too, with these fairies being like seen that way, and yet the adventure stuff working with them. It's like this really cool contrast that just surprises in such a meaningful way, because it goes against the tropes and the stereotypes. It's like, again, you have this certain preconceived notion in your head about, like, oh, you're gonna watch a Tinkerbell movie, it's gonna be super girly and talk about fashion or animals or whatever other stereotypically girly stuff is out there. But then you get into this movie and it's like, oh, we have sword fighting, exciting adventures, near death experiences, and so much more. And it's like, holy shit. it's wild how good that contrast works. And then on top of it, this one acted in some ways as a more direct prequel to Peter Pan. While there has been stuff that has obviously been mentioned or shown before, like the second movie had Tinkerbell in a very Peter Pan-like outfit, for example. And there had been things that had been like hinted at before. This one is a lot more direct, giving us a backstory, at least partially, to Captain James Hook, the main villain, the pirate of Peter Pan. And keep in mind, I want to make it very clear, the original Peter Pan movie has a lot of issues. Like, it did not age well. There's a lot about it that's fun and nice and good, but there's also a lot of racist shit in it. And that's something that can't really be ignored or just hand waved away. It's bad. It's bad. And it was a product of the times, but that doesn't excuse it. However, there is still a place in me that values a lot of the stuff from that film. A lot of the morals and ideals it tells us. And even just the fun of it. And you look back at other like spin-offs and stuff, or whatnot to that, you could say, and it's like you even have like the Robin Williams movie Hook that also had Dante Bosco in it, which that alone is fantastic. And Dame Maggie, God, it's Maggie something. I can't think of her full name, but she's fantastic in that too. And it's just like, there's so many good memories there. And there's so much iconic imagery. The crocodile, not only just the fact that it's ticking, but the eyes pop up in tune with the ticks. And like, oh my God. Like, that is geeking. That's worthy of geeking out. And you might have noticed, by the way, when he put on the coat and everything, and put on the hat, it's like, I don't know if it came through clear, because I'm not the best with emoting physically. But I don't know if it was very clear, but the clock in my head was ticking. I was like really like trying to figure it out for a second there. Like, it's like I'm going back and forth in my mind, like saying, no, it can't be. It is, isn't it? And it's like, you saw me like at one point, like do this like towards the screen. It's like I was trying to like see like think of what he might look like with the mustache and everything. And it's just like, but when he complained about the ticking, that confirmed it for me. It's just like the combination of things. It's just like it would be too coincidental. And it's just like, and I didn't even put together the name of James. I didn't put together that his name was James, and Captain Hook's first name is James. And then he's voiced by fucking Tom Hiddleston. And I'll admit, I want to say here, I want to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Loki as a character. I think the character is poorly handled in the MCU. I think that he's boring, and that they do the same shit with him over and over, without making any of it new and fresh. And plus, the constant fake deaths are fucking annoying. But he's not like totally bad, and I by no means carry that hate over to Tom Hiddleston or even his performance. Tom Hiddleston does the best he can with what he's given, and his performance is great. He's a fantastic actor, without question. So that's never been my issue with Loki. It's always been the writing and everything surrounding him. I, for the life of me, did not even think about it during this film. Like, I didn't even think about, like, hearing James' voice, and I wasn't even thinking, like, oh, he sounds familiar. No, that never crossed my mind. That's why I never thought about looking up his voice like I've done for other characters in previous movies. I never, like, listened to him and thought, like, oh, he sounds familiar. I wonder who voices him. No, so at the end when I see him in the credits, it's like I had that huge holy shit moment, because it's like I was so not expecting it. Like, there's other notable names in these movies, but without question, he's the biggest name in all of these films so far. And again, this is after he's already been playing Loki. So this is post his big jump in fame. Because he had done stuff before that, but he really wasn't a huge name before that. Both him and Chris Hemsworth really kind of made their names through the MCU. So, at this point in 2014, he was well known, and probably recorded the lines in like 2013 or so, but still, he was still well known at that point. That's still a massive catch. It's wild. It's insane. And I'm just like flabbergasted by it. But I went back and listened, and it's like, oh yeah, that's very much him. I can very much hear it now that I know, because of course I can. That's how it always goes. You can always hear it once you know who it is. But it's like you're listening and it just never crosses your mind, and it's just like, wow. But yeah, the story mostly centers though around Zarina, a new character brought in. She's a very curious fairy who works with dust. She helps packages, send it out, and everything. And once every day, a fairy in order, alphabetical order, is brought into the back to help with the blue dust. And Zarina gets her chance a day earlier than expected because another fairy is out. And so she goes to help. Unfortunately, Zarina's curiosity often gets her in a little bit of trouble when it comes to the blue dust, it seems. And she's had some problems with that. Well, she starts questioning the dust, questioning about other possible colors, and unfortunately, Fairy Gary is not having any of it. He's very set in his ways. She decides to try and sneak a little out herself, though, to try and experiment, and her experiments actually go really well. It actually provides a lot of interesting possibilities. Like I talked about, this could entirely change the way that their jobs are done and could allow them to even do each other's jobs when and if necessary. It would honestly break down the barriers of the biggest issue I had with the first film. If you remember in the first movie, my biggest issue was that it forced Tinkerbell into this job that she at the time didn't really want. And while she had come around to it, she wanted to try out other things. She felt like she was being oppressed by being forced into something just based on her birth, based on circumstances she couldn't control. She wanted to try out different things and give them a chance, but her natural talents didn't work with it. This can change things. This can allow fairies to explore other avenues and become their own person. Allow them to become fairies that they want to be rather than be stuck with whatever they're born with. There's so much deep messaging to that. There's so much amazing possibility that I feel it would be an exceptionally missed opportunity if they don't tackle that at all. I'm not saying that they have to have every fairy like try out something new, but just bring in the idea. Like have maybe a couple fairies like say like, oh, I want to switch from being an animal fairy to a water fairy. At least give it a try for a few days or something. See if I can get the hang of it. There's so much possibility. And at the end of this film, Fairy Gary and everyone else gives her the opportunity to show off her alchemy. Which, by the way, that's fucking hilarious that they call it that she calls it that. But she gets a chance to show it off, and like, there's no way that can just be a one-off thing. I'm so glad that they brought the winter fairies back. I'm so glad that they had them just be a casual part of this film, a casual part of the overall fairy celebration and everything. And so they could easily bring this back as well. Again, they don't have to like change the entire thing right off the bat. And I know there's like only one movie left and some specials or whatnot, but there is some stuff they could do with it. And I really feel like they should. Zarina, though, after she messes with things and ends up causing some issues with some out of control plant growth, because she gets too excited, gets a little out of hand, and just loses control. It's not her fault, and she's definitely reprimanded too hard for it. She loses her job. She's treated, honestly, kind of shitty. And so she decides to run away. She feels completely unwelcome and unloved, and so she runs away. And I feel really bad for her at that moment. It's just, I feel like she was completely mistreated there. Like, again, yes, she caused some issues, but the way they handled it was exceptionally wrong. And the fact that they didn't even give her a chance, that they refused to move out of their set ways until the end of the film, of course. It just... I've had experience with that kind of bullshit, with people set in their ways and refusing to see progress and stuff. So it's very much something I can connect to on a personal level. And so it was really easy for me to feel really bad for her. But she runs away, and then it skips to a year later. She's been gone for an entire year, and then suddenly returns, putting everybody to sleep and stealing the rest of the blue dust. Tinkerbell and her friends go off to find her and get the dust back, and find that she's become the captain of a crew of human pirates. They try to sneakily get the dust back and everything after seeing how she's fully integrated into it. But eventually everything goes awry, and it's found out that while she was the captain, the other pirates were planning on betraying her from the start, because Captain James Hook, which I'm still kind of giddy about that he's in this, was planning on betraying her from the start. It was all a ruse just to get her to do what they needed. And once all of that was taken care of, they didn't need her anymore. So they betrayed her, but luckily the other fairies save her, and they all stop the pirates together. With one, honestly, really fucking cool climax. Like, the climax and the fight with Captain Hook and everything is honestly really fucking good. Like, surprisingly good. There's tension, there's excitement. It feels like a good swashbuckling adventure. I had a lot of fun with it. And that's what this just movie in general was. A lot of fun. Like, a shit ton of fun. The fairies learning to try out other powers and all was exciting. Captain Hook being in this was exciting. The reveal that it was the same crocodile and everything. Everything about the callbacks to the original Peter Pan and all were very exciting to me. But again, it's just, there's a lot of depth and meaning to this story and to Zarina's character. And I really like the possibilities that this raises. And hopefully they do take advantage of that. Because that would be a massive step forward after the biggest issue of the first film. To show the fairies learning from that and starting to accept trying out other things, and everything would be fantastic. I really love this. Like, again, the stuff with Periwinkle in the last movie was fantastic as well. And Tinkerbell and Periwinkle's relationship is still, like, one of the biggest highlights of this entire series, without question. But this has definitely taken over as my new favorite of the films. And again, it's just like, every one is better than the last for me. It's just as simple as that. And it's like, I really hope that the final film, something about Neverbeast, I think it's called, I really hope that continues with this and really nails that landing. Because, yeah, it's the last one. And again, there are some specials after that. But that's the last of the movies. And honestly, Legend of the Neverbeast, that's what it's called. Honestly speaking, without exaggeration, I'm going to be really fucking sad to be finished with this series. I really enjoyed it that much. And apparently the director of this film specifically there were two, Bob Scanaway and Peggy Holmes. They did phenomenal at directing this film. And again, I hope the next one is even better. And then there are two shorts, the Pixie Hollow Games and Pixie Hollow Bake Off, which, yeah, I would be fully willing to react to those as well. They would just have to be requested. But yeah, so next time we do one of these, I don't know exactly when it will be, hopefully soon. But yeah, it will be the final movie, Legend of the Neverbeast. And in the meantime, thank you once again to Smurf for continuing to donate for these. I really do appreciate it. And as always, if you, Smurf, or anyone else has any ideas for future things to donate for and are able and willing to do so, please feel free. Donations are always open. Any amount will get you a reward. You can have a movie, a series, a YouTube video, anything like that as a reward. And anything goes as long as I haven't seen it. If you want to make sure if I've seen it or not, feel free to talk to me in the comments of this or any other video, and we can get that all squared away. As always, though, it is optional. If you are unable to, if you just don't want to, you don't have to. These are just ways to get more movies on the channel and get you guys a little more involved, more consistently. And as always, thank you to everyone who donates. Thank you so much. It does help me out. But again, completely optional. only if you can, only if you want to. And we still have plenty of stuff to go. We still have plenty of stuff for the future. But again, if you ever think of anything, and it can be something brand new too. It can be brand new, it can be very old, it doesn't matter. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of this movie, Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy. And for now, I am Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.